What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Live with Weiss. Today's topic that we're going to hit is audio. Now, if I feel a little bit off or I'm a little bit misconstrued, it's because I can hear my own audio right now, and it is messing me up. So what we're going to do, we're going to change out our audio. And we're going to put it right in here. Perfect. So that's one of a million examples of what happens on a regular basis that I have seen in the past 10 years of virtual meetings. I mean, virtual meetings were tough to begin with when we were just doing it from a phone perspective in a conference room with a bunch of videos. But here's the funny thing. In the past year, we have seen the evolution of virtual meetings. We have seen the evolution of streaming. We have seen the evolution of these live sessions that we see. So everybody that you get to catch, whether if they're on YouTube, whether if they're on LinkedIn, Facebook, whether if they're in the gaming stratosphere, it doesn't matter, right? Even podcasting. Audio has been a huge issue that I've seen over and over and over. And that is why we are tackling the subject of how good is your digital audio today. Now, look, we know why we have to tackle this in the first place, right? That this evolution keeps on happening, and it's going to keep on changing, by the way. These changes within virtual meetings, within having conversations with other people from a distance and in person is going to separate a little bit. Doesn't mean necessarily in-person meetings are going to go away, right? Those in-person meetings will happen, but they're going to be even more meaningful than ever before. These virtual meetings, though, are just as important. A lot of people have given up, in my opinion, have given up because we can't meet these people anymore. And it's depressing, right? And it hurts because there's a difference between meeting someone in person than there is meeting someone virtually. You're correct. There's something special about an in-person, one-on-one, whether if you're in sales, whether if you're streaming, whether if you're in podcasting. There's something different about being in person than it is just talking to a screen, having some notes on the side here, and trying to get to know the other person. But we need to take the right step to move forward in order to create the best possible virtual experience. So today, part of that is understanding audio. Now, I'm not going to go into the depths of audio and knowing frequencies and knowing compressions and knowing gains and all that stuff. I think what's most important for everybody here is that when it comes to the virtual setting, when it comes to streaming, when it comes to those aspects, there's only a few things that you can actually control to make that experience as great as possible. You can control your video. We're going to have a session on video outtakes and talk about the different methods that you can use. We're going to talk about lighting. Lighting is super important. When you meet someone in person, you could see the different complexions. You could see the shadows in a room. You could see the colors. We could talk about lighting. Also, we have to talk about the audio. Auditory, you're talking to someone virtually, right? You're interacting with people virtually. And they don't get a chance to sit down in front of you and have that moment. They're already in front of you. So why haven't we invested in ourselves? Why haven't businesses invested in their team members in the right auditory technology to make that experience as great as possible for you and the people on the other side? Now, look, I get it. What do I invest in? That's the biggest question. Why do I need to change what it is? You know, they could still hear me. They could still do it. Sure. But what I've heard over in virtual meetings, in streaming and so forth, is the quality of audio. Now, look, my audio, I would rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being atrocious, 10 being astronomical. It's probably around like a 7, right? It's okay. And it's always going to get better. But that's what it's all about. When you go in and you try to create this new auditory experience for who you are speaking to your audience, you need to recognize what's great, what's not great, and pivot and change. And so, look, what have I seen? I've seen people rely heavily on their earbuds in meetings. They'll plug in your earbuds, or if you're, you got the AirBuds or Bluetooth headset, you're using that as your primary auditory source in your virtual setup, when you're speaking to other people, which is, look, okay, it's fine that it's that way, right? But then again, you think about it. Have you listened to yourself in a meeting like that? Have you heard the audio quality? These earbuds, the Bluetooth headsets for your phone, are specific to one thing: your phone. So you have no way to control the way in which it sounds. It is just the way it is. It is what you get, and that is what you paid for. When you're talking to somebody on the phone and there's no visual cue, or it's a casual conversation, it's different. People anticipate that you're going to be using a headset that's built for your phone. But once you start getting into the streaming world, once you start getting into the virtual meeting world, people expect a little bit better quality there. And these are not built for virtual meetings. They are built for your phone. And we're going to test that in just a little bit in my segment I like to call Let's Hear Our Audio. The second piece of audio that I've seen that's being used constantly that is definitely a level up, right? So we have the Bluetooth headset for your phone, or just your earbuds in general for your phone. But the second thing is, and you'll notice what I'm wearing here, my gaming headset. A lot of people are beginning to invest in headsets that have a microphone and a great headpiece here, which is extraordinarily a great accomplishment in moving to the next step, right? And some businesses have invested in that. Some of them have invested in just like putting in a phone headset, like that has like the little earpiece with like the one spot, and then plugging it into your computer, which is not the same. But remember, in that virtual meeting, you have to control the audio. Now, there are different headsets, like what I'm using right now, that have the ability to display a microphone. I can adjust it by moving it around so that I can change the audio quality, but at the same time, I can hear everything as well. Big thing here with these types of headsets, and you'll see when we go through our segment, that although these headsets are a level up, the big thing that you're going to run into is that you can't control how this sounds. There's no control there on a lot of the headphones. There are some headphones out there that allow you to control your gain, your compression, and suppressing echo sounds and so forth. And some of the software you're using does that too. But then you're spending a lot more money. The final piece that I'm noticing, and this is where people are really stepping up to the next level, is getting into a microphone. Notice here I've got a Blue Yeti. It's very popular, and there's a reason why. Then when you're stepping into this world of microphones, you have pretty much 3 different levels, I like to put it, to make it easy for everybody. Beginner microphones, which are just USB plug and play, has nothing to it, but really all the features that are already built in. So, it might have like a little compression here and there, but not a whole lot of control. So they're usually pretty cheap, and it's a great alternative. Although, to be completely frank and honest, with those beginner microphones, it's no different than your headset that you're wearing from a gaming perspective. So with this, the Yeti, I call this like the medium of the pack, right? And the reason why I say that is because you'll notice that I can actually control my directional path of how I'm speaking to the actual microphone itself. And then also I can change the gain. So changing just different settings allows you on the moment to sound a lot better, to sound a little more quiet. Or if you're soft spoken, it allows you to elevate your vocal sounds 100%. The high tier ones are going into the next level, 5, $500, $1,000 microphones. But this is where, that's the different type of setup you need. You need different type of technology and so forth. So there are three different levels to three different methods that we're seeing. Your earbuds, headsets like this, and then microphones. So today, what I want to share with you are the three different ones that you're using. And I want you to experience what it actually sounds like when I display it on my live channel. It is so important. And I'm going to actually teach you, after we go through this, how I actually test all this, because most of you need to be listening to how you sound after a call, after a virtual meeting, after these sessions happen. I listen to myself every time and I cringe. It is awful, but you've got to listen and you've got to prep and you got to make sure you're going to sound your best when you're speaking to the people across the way, because you're trying to get a message out. So let's start this all off. Now, this is going to be a little hodgepodge. This is going to be a little all over the place, but it's okay. This is live. Who cares? So the very first thing I want to do is, I know a majority of you that watch this, you jump into a virtual meeting, you are streaming a certain aspect of things, or you're somewhere in that line of doing something. Most of you, I've seen it, are using your headphones for your phone. And I want you to know exactly what it sounds like when you use your headphones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my headphones in. I am going to change the speaker to what's called iPhone so you can see what the audio quality sounds like. Just as a heads up, here are your earbuds, very good for hearing. But notice that the microphone is all the way down here. So you are down here with your microphone. You do not speak down like this to get into the microphone. You speak up, right? And I've seen some people just pull up their microphone right to their mouth and go, "Hey, this is me. I'm speaking." That's okay. It happens, right? But this is what you're actually going to sound like when we get into it. So let's take off our headset and let's put on the new one. All right. So I've put on my headset. Now I can hear this microphone through my headset. And now what I'm going to do is turn this off and turn on my iPhone microphone. Here we go. Now, this is what this is going to sound like when you're using your headset from your phone. You'll notice there's a little bit of a difference when it comes from the microphone I was just using to the headset that I'm using with my phone. Now, I'm going to put on my headset here so I can actually hear what I sound like. All right, let's see what we got here. So notice there's a little bit of a difference. There's a little bit of groggliness. There's a little bit more of an echo, I should say, because I'm hearing myself over and over. But you'll hear the quality is just not just as good. You only control what you have based off of where the microphone is. So as you're sitting here and you're speaking, notice how there's no control over how that's actually being displayed. My microphone's all the way over here, which is really weird. So whenever you touch it, you can hear it. Isn't that crazy? And so imagine you are speaking to someone else on the other side of all of this, and they're listening and they hear it and they go, and they hear your microphone popping around. The quality is okay, but it's not built for these types of meetings. This would be really cool if I could do this because these are light and easy. But when it comes from an audio quality perspective for virtual meetings, for other people that are listening, like yourself at this very moment, what you're going to notice here is that the quality is not that great. You can hear the pitches. This is how loud it gets, and also all the lows. This is the lows, and this is what we hear. But you can't control that unless you come in and then I put this near my face. And remember, your earbuds are over here. So when you're listening, it's okay, right? The sound quality is okay, but not that great. What is the impact on the person that's listening that you're trying to send a message if you're using this type of audio? So this is one example of what everybody's using and why I recommend we step up to another level. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug these and we're going to jump back into our next set of audio to listen into. So my rating on the, earbuds and Bluetooth headset for your phone, I give it around a 3 out of 10. It's not even that. I'll give it a 2 out of 10, especially when using good buds. It's okay. But if you settle for okay, that's great. But are you going to settle for okay and mediocre when you're trying to get a message across, trying to close a deal, when you're trying to do anything, when you're trying to stream to other people? I'm going to guess no. So we're going to switch this around. All right, now we're back. So now that we're back, you can hear a little bit of the difference between the microphone that I'm using right now, which is picking up a whole lot, and what I use for my phone. Cool, right? Just noticing the difference is so important for each and every one of you. You don't even want me to turn on my computer mic, which if you guys want me to, just let me know. I'll turn it on and we'll play with it. But if you're using your microphone from your laptop, I mean, you're already at an epic L. An L is a fail. A loss right there. You need to change that immediately. At least going from that to your headphones, at least is a point or two up, but you could still do a lot better. Now, the second option that I'm seeing more of, which I actually love seeing because this is so important, is that people are using gaming headsets as their new microphones for these virtual setups, virtual meetings, doing live sessions. And that is actually not a bad thing. It's actually really great because these are built for streaming. They're built for competitive gaming so that you can hear noises and your team members and speak to them at the same time. That is incredible. And there's a lot of great companies out there, like what I'm using right now. I'm using Corsair. These headphones are absolutely killer. They're about $120 altogether. Great quality, great build, everything in between. And I use them on a regular basis, especially when I'm gaming. That's like my primary use for these, but you'll see in my videos, I actually use them just for a headset. It's really what it's used for because I can interchange it. The microphone comes out. Now, you can imagine, everybody, when you see a microphone that just pops out that easy, it's probably not the greatest tool to use for streaming and audio software. I'm going to plug it back in. Now, it works, right? And that's the most important thing, that it does work. But there are going to be some faults. Again, I have no control over the volume that's being projected to you. I have no control over the compression of my voice. You just get what I get based off of how I move this mechanism like this. If I'm too loud, I got to move it out. If I'm too soft, I can move it in, which is fine. That works. But here's the thing. If you're going to invest in a good headset, you can't just go to any store and just buy like a $30, $40 headset. That's, you're getting okay audio and probably terrible microphone quality. You really need to invest in something that's going to be a little more expensive. You're talking $300-$400 range, maybe $200 range, just depending on the company that you're using. Logitech makes some great stuff. Razer makes some great stuff. Turtle Beach, everyone knows about Turtle Beach, makes some great headphones as well. But you got to be careful. You want to look for headphones like this that have the ability to adjust your output, not just what you're saying and how it sounds. You need something that's going to be able to adjust it accordingly. So let's take a look and see what this sounds like. So I'm going to mute myself again. I'm going to take my headphones, I'm going to plug them into my Mac, and I'm going to actually display the vocals directly on here right now. So let's mute.
Here we go. So this is what these headphones are going to sound like when I use this. So right now, as you could tell, here we go. Cool. Sorry, bouncing back and forth. This is what headphones sound like when you put these on. These are gaming headphones. This is what I sound like when I'm out and about and I'm doing my thing. And I used to use these, actually. I used to use these for a YouTube channel that I created last summer with a friend, and it was really great, right? It was a lot of fun. It allowed me to test these headphones. It allowed me to test these headphones. And as I went through the editing and producing process, I started to notice, wow, the sound quality of projecting to other people actually wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. I thought you never really listen to yourself on a regular basis when you're, say you're in the business world, you're making calls, you're doing virtual meetings. I mean, when's the last time you guys recorded a virtual meeting and you actually listened to that virtual meeting, not for like what, the customer was saying, but just like how you sounded? Did you sound awful? Because I've heard a lot of horrible audio in the past year, simply because you're just not using the proper audio setup. And for these, I found out the audio setup wasn't that great. You can hear that like there's no control over the vocals. There's no control of what I'm saying. I can't even hear myself right now, but I know what it sounds like. And it's not that fabulous, right? But again, there are headphones like this. Corsair is obviously a great headphone collection. You can go to their website. They have killer products. Logitech makes some killer headphones, but you're also going to look at companies like HyperX. You're going to look at companies like Turtle Beach. They all make really good headphones that have just an audio in, audio out that you can plug into your computer, to your laptop, and so forth. And really what's important there is that you have some sort of control in the wire. That's usually what's going to happen, or on the headset itself, where you can control the output in some way, shape, or form. Just like the Yeti mic that I'm using right now, that allows me to change the gain, that allows me, and it also has automatic suppression of sound that's coming in. It allows me to be directional with it so that I'm talking to you. But if I had somebody in the room that we needed to talk to together, I could do a full room setup. That is so important. So if you want to invest in these, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give a headphone set, if you're going to get an average pair, around a 5 out of 10. Usually, from an audio perspective, it's going to be good. If you're ready to spend the dollars and go buy a killer pair of headphones, by all means, go out and do it. It's going to cost you about $300 probably for a really great pair of headphones. Maybe less. You might find something good for $200, a deal here and there. But the more money you're going to spend, the more quality you're going to find out. Just make sure you're looking for something that controls the output of what you're saying to your audience. That is going to be so important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this all back and go back to the final one, which is my microphone.
I was muted the entire time. Here we go. Always make sure that with your technology, you're not muted. And make sure your audio is coming out the way you want it to. Perfect. So it is coming out of the Yeti mic right now. And so this is the third and final step. And this is what I suggest for most people, especially, come on, doing virtual meetings, you're streaming live, you're doing all this stuff that's virtual. Why aren't we investing in audio technology? Why aren't we making that push? Think about your favorite podcaster. Think about your favorite YouTuber out there. You're normally thinking the audio's super killer. But some of the people that you like, you say, oh man, I just love this individual on YouTube. They teach me X, Y, and Z. God, their audio is terrible. They probably know that too, or they're too lazy to change it. And it doesn't take that much. The final one is actually investing in technology that is specific to audio output, and that is a microphone. And like we talked about earlier, there's pretty much 3 tiers of microphones. Cheap ones they're just like you plug and play. Medium ones, I call Yeti probably between a beginner and a medium because it has some buttons, but comes out of the box and it's ready to go. And then there's high end. High end is going to be something that podcasters use, that musicians use, and a killer setup, but you need the right technology to back up that high end power. So for me, as a starter and a beginner, and this is for everybody here, people who are don't want all this audio tech, that don't want all this different software, that do not want to have to spend tons of time figuring out their audio, go out and purchase a decent mic. A microphone is specific to audio. It is not needed for anything else but that specific need. Now, the Yeti, like I've been saying, has been absolutely fabulous for me. The Yeti, which is great, is not only, and the sound quality is going to go a little haywire, not only does the Yeti have, a great build to it and has a great stand, and I'm going to get a boom stick at some point for it, but you'll notice it's got your gain and it's got your directional. Now, my gain could probably go all over the place again. I've been moving this around constantly, and I've probably readjusted it over and over and over. Here is the thing. You need to test these things out. You need to use it over and over, and you got to make sure, hey, look, is this the right thing for me? And I'll tell you this, like this type of microphone is going to work. You're going to be fine utilizing this microphone every single time that you use it, whether if it's on a call, whether if it's you're streaming or anything like that. That is totally fine. Use this microphone. It is absolutely fabulous. If you checked out my previous posts, and by all means reach out to me, I actually put out a ton of other microphones that are in what I call the budgetary range, right? So anything between $100 and $200 is pretty much a good range for a decent microphone. It's going to get you in that 7 range, right? That 7 out of 10 range. That is so important. So the Yeti allows me to do that. Yeti's actually owned by Logitech, which I had no idea. It's like a high-end product on their end. But also you have places like, like I said, you have Logitech, you've got HyperX, you've got a ton of different options when it comes to microphones. The biggest thing with microphones that you're looking for when you're doing this is you're looking for the dials on it, actually, because if you're a beginner in this, you're going to adjust your audio based off of your own criteria, right? You want to be able to play with it. You want to be able to juke and change and make adjustments as needed. So look for microphones that have those capabilities. Also, look for microphones that have things already built in. The background suppression noises and so forth. It will extract echoes and everything else, so you don't have to put up padding behind your walls. Like, it can help reduce outside noise reduction. Look for those types of microphones and read the reviews. Get on YouTube. There's a billion YouTube videos on criteria for great microphones. They'll tell you which ones to buy. There's ones that have just come out this week that I watched that still say microphones from a year ago are still great. This microphone's been around for who knows how long, 10 years plus, and they're still great. And so go on YouTube, do your research. It takes like a half hour and figure out, is this the microphone for me? If it is, great. Do you want it big? Do you want it small? What kind of dials do you want on it? That is going to be important. I stick with the Blue Yeti. It's simple. It's easy. I will probably upgrade in the next year or so to something else to give it a test run. Or, if, hey, Sony, Logitech, Corsair, you guys, if you're watching this, feel free to send me a free microphone, I'll do a little session on how that microphone sounds and, get the voice out to the people. Now, of course, one of the last things we have to talk about as a group is this is all fine and dandy. We're talking about the different levels. You could go to a gamer headset. You could use a microphone. You want to try to avoid using your headphones from your phone at all possible choices, especially when you plug in those headphones to your laptop. It is just, it is a point of, honestly, you're not ready to upgrade. But it doesn't matter if you don't know what you sound like. Everybody here can do this very simply. Say you buy a mic and you want to test it out and all the dials and everything that's going to happen with it. Test it. If you're using your headset with a microphone, test it. If you're going to use anything, use the software that's available on your computer. So some of you are going to be Mac users, which probably a lot of you are. Great. There's free software there that you could use to record yourself and see what you sound like. If you are a Windows user, there is great software out there that is free that you can use to record yourself and see what you sound like and change your audio settings. For me, I'm not ready to change my audio quality yet. I'm using OBS right now learning how to use OBS right now to figure out how to control my audio settings because it allows me to do that in a live production format. But we don't have time for that, right? So let's use something that's simple. What about using something like Garageband? So simple, right? You guys, look, it's an easy program to use. And all you have to do is make sure you open it. You go into an empty project, double click. It's going to ask you to choose a track type. Let's see here. Oh, it's not showing it. Hold on. See, this is what we got to do. We got to work with the technical difficulties. Share screen. Share. Ta-da! So there's it doesn't show it here, but there's an audio track that you could choose to come in. When we come to create it, your audio track's already here. Look at this. So coming on in, you could see that right here, there's an audio piece that you could set up and you could see your volume adjustments and so forth. But this is a time where I come in to check the audio. I grab my microphone and I change with the dials. I change all the settings and I record the entire session while listening to it. And then I say, during the session, this is what this setting is. This is what this setting is. And notice how the levels are completely changing. You get to hear yourself. Now, when you're doing virtual meetings, if you're not recording your Zoom calls, if you're not recording your Microsoft Team calls, if you're not recording whatever go-to meeting calls, if you're not recording any of those, come on. How do you know what you sound like? Do you sound atrocious on the other line, even though you're a killer in having a conversation with someone? But it doesn't matter if you can't express that the right way. And that's why you need to invest in your audio quality. And the best way to test this and to really answer the question I've been sharing out there, how good is your audio quality? You have to test it using something like Garageband. Using anything to just hear yourself. Let other people hear you. And adjusting these levels is easy if you have the right technology. If you have a microphone that has the right dials on it, you can change that dramatically and change the way in which you sound when you project virtually, when you project in a streaming format. Now, look, let's recap. few things without a doubt. In this audio piece, we have to start investing in how we sound. All right? As my friend Lincoln always says, you're born with 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen as much as we speak. So people are listening. And they're listening twice as much as they're going to speak. But when you do speak in that one moment, how good should it sound? How good should it sound? I think we've gotten to a point now where we need, as individuals and as businesses, to start investing in these things. And we need to explain to people why it's important. Why should a seller have a microphone? Well, we talk about in-person meetings, and I could close a deal instantly in a meeting. Yeah? Well, what happens when it comes to audio? Do you have that same sound effect when you're there? We've got to invest in our people from a technology standpoint. The whole idea of giving people a laptop and maybe a headset that looks like this and calling it a day, or a headset for a phone call, but we're all doing virtual meetings anyway, is unacceptable. We need to step up to the plate. And there's a few things you can do. Go out and start doing the research. Research 2 things. I'll keep it simple. Basic microphones, like a Yeti. And again, I'll put the links up of all the different microphones I use, but also gaming headsets too. It looks strange at times for people, but look, this is what it is. This is what we get. And so start to do the research. Start to see what the budgeting looks like for that. It can make a change in the way in which you're delivering a message. The final thing is start listening to your conversations that you're having. I'm going to listen to this. It's probably going to sound awful because I was switching from one headset to another. I don't even know if I'm muted right now. I could have been muted this entire time, and that could be the absolute truth. But you need to be listening to these calls. You need to be listening to your own streams. You need to critique yourself, not from just the content that's going out, but also the technology that's driving it. And for me, personally, I'm using a gaming headset for audio in for me, a microphone for audio out, Blue Yeti, simple beginner's microphone, plug and play. But we all need to start going out and changing our audio quality. If y'all have any questions for me, if y'all want to chat more about audio quality, reach out to me, direct message me, throw it into the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on what your audio setup is today. So jump on in. Join me next time as we dive deeper into the technology stack to help you in projecting yourself from a virtual and from a streaming perspective. You all take care. Have yourselves a magnificent day.
You want the